Hey guys, welcome back to the Fragrance Wardrobe. Let's do a list video. So it has been a little bit since I've done a list video, but this one's going to be kind of a list, more of a line talk really. But I have all the YSL Ys right here. We're going to go over them, tell you a little bit about the differences, which one each type of person might prefer, and when they're going to work the best. So we'll do a little bit of line talk. It's almost like a buying guide for the Y line. So if you're into that, stay tuned. Don't forget, if you like this type of content, like the video. Also hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. And do leave me a comment. Which Y do you like the most, or which Y are you looking forward to trying the most? Okay, so let's get started. Like I said, I have all 5 in the line. These started coming out in 2017. I have Yves Saint Laruent Y Eau de Toilette right here. This is the first one in the line. And this one is the one that turned me on to this entire line. This is the first one I got. So it's a pretty solid fragrance. Now, a little bit of info on the Y line. It is named after like Generation Y. That's why you have the Y there. Generation Y is the millennial generation. So Yves Saint Laurent wanted to create like a blue style line that would be appealed or marketed to the millennials. Yeah. So if you're one of those, these might be right up your alley. I can't decide. I've seen where some things say I am a millennial and some say like I missed it by a couple of years. I don't know. I'm 37. Maybe I'm like on that borderline. But anyway, I do really like the line. Let's go and dive into them. So the Eau de Toilette, very good offering. Like I said, this one started my love for the Y line. I know it did for many of you as well. And the notes in this one, you'll have some aldehydes. You're going to have some fruit in here, like I believe some bergamot, some gingers in here. Ginger, I believe, is in all of them. You do have a little bit of ambergris. Now, it says ambergris, but I'm going to say it's probably ambroxan, just because of how expensive ambergris is and how not expensive the Y fragrances are. So I have the 60 mil of the EDT, and this one, it's going to be very light and airy. So think of, it's like an aromatic, it's very fresh, it's like a synthetic, fresh, airy fragrance. This one, you'll pick up a little bit of sweet from the fruit in there. You will also pick up a little bit of that ginger in there as well. All in all, it's a very solid scent. I believe this one can be actually worn by anyone. I think that your young bucks to wear it, like real young, I guess. I'm not very tall. Young bucks can wear it, and your older guys to wear it as well. This one, I do think is pretty solid for the spring and the summer because of how light and airy it is. It's not going to choke people out. It doesn't have that super sweet or thick density to it that can get pretty cloying or whatever in the high heat. So this one would be a great option for like this time of year, spring, rolling through the summer. Really, you can wear it anytime, but that is probably where I would wear. If I were going to own the entire line, which I do, I would probably pick spring and summer for this one, because of how light and airy it is. The performance isn't, terribly bad or anything like that. I get about 6 to 7 hours on skin with this one. I know some people might get 4, some might get 5, some might get 8. I don't know. For me, I get about 6 hours. That's kind of just the way it performs on my skin. Might be different for you. You might get better performance. You might get worse performance. Everybody's a little bit different. The projection, it's not super heavy. You're not going to project across the room. It's going to be, I wouldn't say intimate. If you've ever seen those little graphs like Fragrantica or whatever, I wouldn't say it's like an intimate projector, but I wouldn't say it's like a big solid bubble either. People will smell it on you, but they're going to have to be within your personal space to do so. So all in all, very solid offering. I think it's probably one of the more versatile fragrances in the collection, meaning it goes really year round, and it can be worn by any age for any situation. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about a lot of people's personal favorite of the line. When we talk about the Y line, almost everybody who's smelled the entire line says this is the one for them. This one came out in 2018. It's the original flanker to the original. It's the Eau de Parfum right here. And the Eau de Parfum does do something a little bit different with the DNA. It smells really good. Now, with the Eau de Parfum, you're going to still have that Y DNA in there. It's not going to change the DNA up or anything like that. I mean, it will a little bit, but it's not going to make it a totally different fragrance. Now, there's a couple, I think, fruit notes that are changed up a little bit. You also don't have ambergris in this one, or ambroxan. You have amber wood, which is another synthetic aroma chemical. This one is, you're going to have ginger, you'll have apple, you're going to have the bergamot in here. You will have a really nice sage in here as well. And of course, amber wood. There are other notes, but those are kind of the main ones. This one, I think I get a little bit more of that, a little bit more like that shower gel feel, probably coming from that amber wood or that sage. It's pretty fresh. It's got a little bit more sweetness, I think, than the original. And this one actually is going to perform a lot better. But this one is a much richer formula. It's like a richer fragrance. So you don't have to go as heavy with it. Now, if you're me, I'm probably going to go heavy with it because that's what I do. But they're like, if you're outside, high heat, something like that, you might want to lay off the trigger just a tad, because it is one of those sweet, you know, projecting type of fragrances that might get a little cloying in that high heat. Now, if you're in a climate controlled environment, probably not going to be that big of a deal. But if you're, let's say, in an office that's climate controlled, you may want to lay off a little bit, because this one, I have heard people say that they just can't stand it because of like how heavy it hits, I guess. And so you do kind of run that risk with this one of maybe putting some people off who are like sensitive to fragrances. But yeah, that's kind of the differences between these two. This one's not going to be as airy, or you know, yeah, this one's just not going to be as airy, I guess, as the EDT. Very good fragrance. Like I said, a lot of people's favorites. I think mainly because of the performance you're going to get. This one does perform extremely well on my skin. I get 8 hours out of it. Sometimes I can push 10 hours. I think that's pretty typical for most people, just from the feedback I've had from people within the community. Now, there's always going to be those handful of people who say they get an hour out of it, which I think is complete BS. And, you know, they just like to bitch about something. But I think for most people, you're going to get pretty solid performance. And that's why a lot of people will go from the EDT to the Eau de Parfum. Now, this one does give off a little bit of a youthful vibe, a little bit younger, and a little more playful, I guess. So if you're looking for more of a mature version of the EDT, I would hold off on this one until we get to some in the later rounds here. All in all, though, the EDP, great offering. It's a great flanker to the Eau de Toilette. Personally, I think Yves Saint Laurent did a bang-up job creating a line, and the way they did their flankers, I think they did it the right way. All right, so in 2019, Yves Saint Laurent came out with the next flanker in the Y line. This one is going to be Y Live right here. And yes, you still get the Y DNA, but they did make some somewhat noticeable changes. Yeah, there's noticeable changes. So you still get the Y DNA, you still pick up that DNA within the fragrance, but there are definitely noticeable changes to the DNA that do make it a new fragrance while maintaining, I guess, its Yness or whatever. This one, you're going to have some apple in the opening. You'll even have some pear, which I don't think that is found in the other fragrances. You'll have apple, some pear. You don't have ambergris. You don't have amber wood in here. Also have some orange blossom and cocoa absolute, I believe, in this one. This one, I think, kind of goes off of the Eau de Parfum and makes the Eau de Parfum a little bit more playful, a little bit more youthful. That's my opinion, of course. Take it with a grain of salt. Everybody has an opinion. Yeah, so this one, in my opinion, I think it makes it a little bit more geared toward that younger millennial. So a little bit younger than the EDP, if that's even possible, because I do think the EDP really does kind of youthful light that fragrance up quite a bit. This one I think takes that to another level. This one I think would be great for a night out, something like a club. Really, I think the EDP would too, but you know, it's kind of a little bit different scent. Now with Y Live, I will say I don't get as good a performance as I do with the EDP. That's probably because there's no ambergris, amberwood, you know, ambroxan, whatever in this one, at least not listed. But I get about 6 to 7 hours out of it. So while I don't get the same performance that I get with the Eau de Parfum, still no slouch, still getting pretty good performance. And I do like the difference in the DNA with the added pear, and you have the apple in there, and then even like the cocoa, I think it's like cocoa absolute or something like that in the base. It does kind of give it, I don't know, man, it has some sort of like, it has that sweet quality, it has that fruitiness up top, but it also kind of has a little bit of a dark vibe, I guess, as it dries down, but not to the point where it's like a really dark fragrance or anything like that. Just, it does something different, but it's youthful. So I will say it is a youthful scent. If you're looking for the more youthful in the line, this would be it. Although I think you can get that with the Eau de Parfum and actually get better performance. So, you know, you can, I think it's going to be up to you. Which scent do you like more? Which one do you find more appealing? Because they're both pretty, they both come across pretty youthful. They both come across as something you can wear as like a night out, going to the bar, going to a club, something like that. And it's just going to be up to you which scent you like the most. Now I will say that Eau de Parfum is a little bit easier to find in stores than Y Live from my experience. Like at work, we don't carry Y Live for some reason, but we do have the Eau de Parfum. So a little bit easier to find. I don't know if the Y Live is discontinued. I wouldn't think so, but it's a solid fragrance. Definitely very good. Maybe you want that youthful feel and you don't want like as much performance. You can go with Y Live. Works just fine. Okay, in 2020, last year, Y came out with another flanker in the Y line. This one is going to be their freshest version of the DNA yet. This one is Y Eau Fraiche. Right, yeah. Like the bottle, you have that gradient design on here. So down here it's frosted, up here it's not. Almost kind of looks like an ice cube or something like that. So yeah, it's gonna be the freshest in the line. This one smells pretty dang good too. Yeah, this is a really solid fragrance. Actually, I think we sell more of the Eau Fraiche at work than we do any of the others in the line. In fact, it's probably one of our most sold fragrances. It's very popular, at least retail wise. This one is what you think. It freshens up the DNA. Do you still get the Y DNA? Yes, you do. You do, but I think it makes it a little bit more citrusy, a little bit more tart, something kind of in that realm. So this one, of course, is an Eau Fraiche. So when's it going to be best for? Definitely for the hot heat. Definitely for the warmer weather. So this one is kind of there, put out for a summer fragrance in this line. So you maintain the original DNA to an extent, but you're also making it a little bit more citrus, a little bit more tart, a little bit more suitable for warm weather with less sweetness in there. So take the other ones, draw back on the sweetness a little bit, up the citrus factor, and bam, you have a summer fragrance. And it works really well. It's a very nice scent. Personally, I think it's probably one of my more favorite more favorite, I guess, fresh fragrances in my collection. I mean, I have like Versace Eau Fraiche, and I like this way more than Versace Eau Fraiche. Actually, I don't care for that one as much, but this one, it's very solid. It's a good, modern, fresh fragrance, using the YDNA, adjusting it a little bit to make it more suitable for the summer heat. This one is not going to put people off in the heat. You're not going to get cloying with it or anything like that, because it does draw back on that sweetness, and it's office safe. It's, beach safe, whatever you want to call it, all that good stuff. It's going to work very well. In fact, you can actually wear this probably year round. I mean, any citrus fragrance you can pretty much wear year round, especially like to the office. And this is no different. You get year-round use out of it, and it actually performs very well. 8 hours on my skin. Some people, it might not last as long. Some people might get better performance. Okay, and that brings us to the final Y in the Y line. It's the 2021 release, just came out a month or two ago. It is the Le Parfum right here. This one smells pretty dang good too. I'm not gonna lie, they all smell great. I'm pretty biased to the line, I guess. Yeah, I like all of them. So no hate on this line at all. This is one of my favorite lines, because I think they did the flankers so well. Because each flanker, you maintain some of the original DNA, but you're creating something different. It's not oh, we just boosted up the performance or whatever. I think it's complete BS of a house to do. Yeah, this is solid. So this one, again, you get the YDNA, okay? Kind of similar to the Eau de Parfum DNA, if that makes sense. At least just smelling it. I don't know what the notes are, to be honest with you on this, but just smelling it, I kind of liken the DNA to the Eau de Parfum. But this one does something a little bit different, and I think this is for that millennial, because remember, these are for the Y generation, that millennial that's like actually grown up now. So I guess if I am a millennial at 37, this would be for me, compared to maybe like one of these other ones being for a millennial 10 years younger than me, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, this one, very solid. You get that YDNA that is like in the Y Eau de Parfum, in my opinion anyway, but it darkens it a little bit, and it doesn't shout off the skin as much. It's not as sweet. It darkens it up a little bit more, takes away a little bit of that sweetness, and to me, it makes it more of like a grown-up Y. So yeah, this one definitely is like, in my opinion, again, my opinion, it is the grown-up version of the YDNA. So this one can be worn by somebody that's old, like myself. You can wear it in a suit, you can wear it to the office. It will be office safe because it doesn't stream off the skin like the Eau de Parfum. It's not as sweet, and it's just a mature version of the DNA, and that's kind of what I get from the Le Parfum. The performance on it is a little bit of a drawback for me. For me, I get like 6 hours out of the performance, which, I mean, 6 hours isn't bad. I think 6 hours is probably what we would consider in the community as more of an acceptable range. Not really good, not really bad, just kind of common. And it has common performance. So about 6 hours of longevity. The projection, nothing like the Eau de Parfum, but you're going to have a good bubble. But it's not just going to like slam people right in the mouth or whatever. It's going to be a little bit more tame, if you want to put it like that. So all in all, I think it's a really good scent. I like the offering. I don't think it's redundant to own all of these. I think Y did such a bang up job with this line that you can own all of them and it's not going to be redundant. Whereas a lot of houses they'll put out a line, and owning all of them in a line is super duper redundant, because they might just change a performance or something like that in the fragrance, where Y actually gives you a new offering, and I like that about it. So this is one of the reasons why the Yves Saint Laurent Y line is kind of one of my favorite lines that I own right now. So very solid. So there is the information on all of the Ys wrapped into a clip, a little bit longer than I wanted, but yeah, a little bit of information on each. So if I were going to be like a super young guy, probably go with the Y Live, maybe even the original. I'd probably go with the Y Live. If you're going out, something like that, Y EDP, Y Live. If you're wanting that nice, sweet, airy DNA, maybe for the office, or just like kicking it and relaxing, maybe the EDT. If you're going to be out in that high heat, go with Eau Fraiche. If you're wanting to be grown up, suited up, something like that, maybe a little bit more professional, go with the Le Parfum. So really, you can own all of these and get use out of all of them in different situations. So great line from Yves Saint Laurent again. Yeah, so that will wrap up this video. Please, if you like this information, something like that, please do like the video. Helps out the video. Also, if you made it this far, do hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications. And I'll catch you guys with the next video. Thank you for watching.